Lafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am back once again with a staple in our community. He is the pillar of not only Isheshe in the Americas, but also most certainly Isheshe around the globe, as well as here in the African Spirituality Experience community. So without further ado, Baba Oloye Ifa Karade, Baba Lafia Aboroboye Abosise. I appreciate you joining us, Baba. How you doing today?
Sure, boy, sure. Yeah, I'm well, thank you. Everything is good. Everything is good. I'm honored to be here, and like you said, it's the consistency factor,
I say.
that works. And uh, someone said to me, "It's good to see you today," and I'm like, "Well, it's good to be seen, brother."
No, that's right. I know that's right. I say. I
So
say.
it's all good, and peace and one love to everyone who's viewing. You know.
I say. That's what's up. Now, I love it. And I see the background. You got that picture. Is that a Rumula or Obatala?
Obatala, basically distinguished by like the chameleon.
Got you. That's the
Okay. Uh, but myself as a Baba Orisha of Obatala, and the connection that I see with Obatala and Orumila,
hmm.
because yeah, the Orishas in total, Bobo Orisha, they're all portals to Ifa.
Hmm.
And we just become a part of that, you know, understanding. And
Hmm.
when we reach Ifa and the pillars of Ifa, Iwa, okay, our character, Iwa, the oneness with the earth, we take on the Iwas of life. And ultimately, uh, that's what it appears Orisha need for us to do, because they themselves are stepping stones to the everlastingness of our culture, the everlastingness of our being. And
I,
we can't do it if we're self-destructive.
I say.
We can't do it if we are, you know, giving up on the true cultural dimensions of our civilization. And therefore, you got to over the lie, but you can't see it clearly, because of the distance here. But his third eye is open.
I see it.
Okay.
It looked like a cowrie shell from
uh,
the way I see it. It looks similar to a cowrie shell.
yeah, yeah, but it's right there, and which is to say that the Orisha are tapped into Ifa.
I say. I say.
Now they have to be. There's no other way to, put a finger on the pulse of the reality of it.
I
If
say.
we're not all moving towards Ifa, Egun, Orisha, then where are we going again?
I say. I say. That's what's up. Nah, listen, forgive me for fidgeting around. I'm trying to figure out how to get, I'm gonna do this live stream one way or another. So I'm just gonna do it from the phone. I'm just gonna do it from the phone because I want the people to have access to being able to see,
Okay.
these conversations and live, live and living color. So no, I appreciate it. And with that, it's an honor. I've been getting a lot of feedback for the last couple of weeks now about, the shows and how influential they've been in a positive way. And I'm extremely ecstatic and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve and also most importantly to be able to sit at the feet of the elders such as yourself and just be able to soak it all in and absorb the knowledge, the understanding, the wisdom, the overstanding, understanding, understand, and to be able to, like you say, to embody and try to kind of emulate that presence of the Orisha, of the ancestors, our Egbe, Ifa, etc. And that brings me to what one of the themes of, or the topic of tonight's call is for us to create a consistent place of fellowship, a consistent community type environment for the Isheshe community. And that's something that you and I have spoke about multiple times over the years. I know that you also have a couple of other programs that you have in the works right now that should be coming to fruition in the near future, as well as the one that, I'm honored to collaborate with you on that we're in the process of completing, setting that up now as well. So how, I should say, no, why is it extremely important for our people to have somewhere where they can learn and study and get the vastness of the wisdom of Ifa and Isheshe? What does that mean to you and the significance of how that can benefit our community in terms of growth, mentally, physically, and spiritually?
All right. Well, it would be an overstatement, to say it is beyond important. It is absolutely necessary.
Mm,
We're talking about wheels that turn wheels,
mm,
and enslavement took the gears. We were derailed, in terms of our evolutionary process as a civilization.
mm,
And the struggles that we've had, even beyond the end of the Civil War, maintain that deriding of our evolution as a civilization. We are oppressed, and part of that oppression is suppression.
mm,
Those understandings, even that we reach historically, are not of the greater, dare I say, greatest impact upon our youth.
mm,
The backlash from the 60s, the white backlash from the 60s, I'm just going to call it like it is, not like I see it, but like it is,
mm,
in terms of banning books, building prisons. Okay. This is not all accidental,
mm,
and is they sit oppressors in meetings consistently to devise and develop ways to continually derail us. We must do the same in order to evolve us.
mm.
And this is not a reactionary statement. This is just a statement of growth.
I say.
This is just a statement of regaining. We talk about reparations in terms of money.
Mm,
Okay, well, yes, we are owed trillions of dollars. Just did a study on the impact that cotton itself had on the world, and how the southern states specifically amassed trillions of dollars in the process of forced labor,
mm,
as a result of forced labor and a cash crop. We were not only forced, we weren't paid.
mm,
So, yeah, we're owed reparations, but not just in dollars and cents, okay? Because we do spend a lot of money, reparations or not, okay? Now, what we spend it on, and who we imitate and even emulate within our own Afrocentric community, so and so makes a lot of money and they bling out, they got 20 cars, and invested in what? Okay. I'm making a general statement here, okay, because we do have some, and especially these days, Sergio Menez, these soccer players, some of them are getting together and they're saying, for all the money we have, we're going to rebuild cities. We're going to, we're going to reparate ourselves.
I say.
Okay. So instead of waiting around for the oppressors to give us reparations, we have some high money people right within our realm.
Mm,
So the emphasis of what we have gained in terms of the voice and in terms of the consistency of opportunity is now, the whisper of greater investment for us, by us, which was a part of my coming up
Mm,
until they sold out.
mm,
Okay. But the whole thing is that we have to keep being for us, by us, and we can't do it if we're not consistently exchanging ideas and energy and insights and learning what's available and how to go about doing it in a way that profits us
mm.
spiritually, mentally, psychologically. So, you know, in a capsule,
Right.
that would be my response. That's why it's important to have that consistency factor. Other faiths have it.
Mm,
Okay, people tithe. People meet on a regular basis. It's more than a spiritual act.
mm-hmm,
You know, it's their movement. Churches buy up entire city blocks.
mm.
They don't do that because people are just meeting each other, for a barbecue.
Right.
You they're meeting consistently. They
Right.
got financial offices, they're working. They're investing, whatever anybody may feel about who they are and why they're doing it.
Mm,
Point is, it's getting done,
I should.
you know. And then you have the Islamic folks, they're buying up gas stations and little, you know, why? Because they have the opportunity, and they meet every Friday, the Salat and the whole kind of thing, Juma and all that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Then you have the Asian folks, they come, okay, well, we have Chinese food and teriyaki or whatever, but trust me, they meet on a consistent basis and they're tapped into resources that we either know nothing about or we're not able to get it.
Mm,
But the mentality since my coming up and seeing fish markets that were basically black owned
mm.
turn into Asian owned. You can't even find a black owned, fishery anymore. When I was coming up on the shore, you know, back in the 50s, that's who you saw.
Right.
And even the liquor stores, there was black folks in it, But what happened? Okay. We're not meeting consistently. We're not providing a strong enough front,
Mm,
you know, and we don't have any place else to go because we're not gathering to break new ground in a tidal wave kind of fashion. Yes, there are drips and drabs here and there, but in a tidal wave kind of fashion.
mm.
But we have to meet consistently and we have to have our faith factor strong because we may not walk by faith alone, but we got to have faith,
I should.
you
That's
know.
right. Yeah, that's powerful. And I got a question for you that I would love. I have my own take and opinion on it, but I would love to hear the answer from your perspective, being that you have a lot more wisdom and a lot more time under your belt than I do. So I was speaking with a brother who I'm gonna have on the platform tomorrow. We spoke this afternoon to kind of, go over a little bit about what we were going to speak on with tomorrow's interview. And he brought up something that we both have been affected by and that we both can relate to and that we both have seen as an area that we need to do a lot of work in terms of improving. And the point of the conversation was, we both are entrepreneurs and he has I can't wait, I don't even want to spill the secret, but he has a company that ties into Ifa and Isheshe and
Mhm.
Orisha. And his product actually is a staple within a lot of the things that we do. But he was sharing with me that he sold a product to, I want to say, a sister, and she tried to buy the product from him for $10 less than what he had the product listed as.
Mhm.
And it burned him up, or I call it cook. It burned his cornflakes. It cooked his cornflakes. It made him mad because He like, you don't go to no other stores. You don't go to Gucci or Louis or Fendi or, any of these high-end boutique stores asking for no discount. You sure as heck don't go to Walmart, or Publix or CVS, Walgreens, et cetera, asking for a discount. So why would you even feel that it's okay to
Mm,
ask a brother, or it don't even got to be a brother, but a black man or a black sister, a black woman who's an entrepreneur and business owner, why would you ask them for a discount? Like,
mhm.
where does that psychology come from, and why do you feel like that's a problem with us within our community, that we don't have a problem paying other people outside of our community their price for their products and services, but then when it comes to one of us,
Mm.
that we want a discount or we want something for less than? Can you kind of speak to that from your perspective, Baba, and where you feel like that sort of thinking or mindset comes from, and what can we do to fix it?
Well, it's problematic in a sense, um, but not problematic in a sense
Mm,
because uh, my reflex reaction is we market people, you
mm,
know, we barter, you
right,
know, we exchange, we work things out amongst ourselves. We look at each other in a sense and take the assumption, to the hilt in terms of, well, you got money, why don't you give me the money that I'm asking for? Okay. Now, that may be the case, in this situation, or it may not. I don't know. There are other variables.
right,
Now, on the other end of the spectrum is if you're a black person in business on that level, not Walmart's and not, you know, Gucci or whatever, and you going out and you kind of trying to move your product, okay, it might be not the worst of things to take a little financial hit in order to get a client,
right,
to get someone who can speak on your product, in order to evolve you. When I first started with the books, you know, I was selling them out of the trunk of my car,
mm,
you know, and I'm running off copies at Staples. You understand what I'm saying?
right, right,
And I wanted and taking them to bookstores and wanting to get 12, 15% back. And I'll have to keep going back to the bookstores. Some of them ain't half want to pay, some of them didn't want to pay at all.
right,
But I'm like, you know what? Did you sell the books?
right,
Because I know on this level, I got to establish, you know, a wider clientele,
right.
and I have to take a hit for that. Okay. So, I could say, oh, well, you're not telling, the white man, that, you're not going to pay you buy the book, stuff like
Right,
that. I'm
right,
selling them out of my car. I'm
right,
hustling straight up.
right.
And so these are all black bookstores, and I know they hit hard because I'm starting to learn the industry.
Yep.
But I also know that if I'm going to make stair steps in the industry, you know, I have to be able to kind of go with the flow,
Right.
you know? So, it happens on both sides. Okay. We can, kind of ice people who are talking about, well, look, I only have $10 and I know you want 15 or 20, but I'm willing to, you know, give you my $10.
Right.
And I could say, well, hey, you wouldn't say that if you were that Gucci. Well, you ain't Gucci right now. Okay.
Right.
So the point is, we can work together and kind of understand, okay, that we are market people. Folks are going to barter. And then the market women, they out there, they catch sales at big stores as well.
Right.
So it's not like the big stores have one price and that's it. They have knockoff days, they have for sale days, they got two for the price of one day, and people like, okay, well, I'm going today, I'm buying winter clothes in the summer, because they're cheaper.
Right.
So it's not like it's a mentality that's anti-black.
Right.
It's just, I'm going to try to work the money to kind of get what I need to get to,
Right.
and that is a savings. Now, you going to work with me, brother, or not? Because if not, not only did you not sell the product and get the $10, but now you got somebody who doesn't even want to deal with you.
Right.
And when my friends ask me about something about your product, then how can I really say, well, he was a good brother. He let me, slide for the $10, but the next time we go, we're gonna give him this 15 because now, he's a good brother. We worked it out.
Right.
And that's something you can't do with Gucci or whoever. They
Yeah.
don't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why I say, it's six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. You know. But in the back, in the capsule and just encapsulating stuff because
Right.
I can roll.
Nah, but it makes sense. I mean, I see it. I definitely see it both ways. I just think, and him and I both saw it from a perspective of, we know that most people don't do that in other establishments, but sometimes feel comfortable with doing it within, the establishments of our own. So it's something that, I definitely feel like
But
there's a.
I don't, yeah, forgive me for cutting you off, but
No, you're fine.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Got you.
I don't think that's a bad thing because, like, I tell my books, the book is $8, okay,
Hmm.
for the new book. Somebody can come to me and say, well, look, Baba, I'm out here at the festival. I just spent, I bought some incense and everything like that. I only got a 5 left.
Right.
We good? I'm like, sure, bro, we good. We good. But this is what I want you to do. Take a picture of it, post it on your social media.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's learn how to work,
Together.
together
Yeah.
in terms of, okay, well, I might not have made the greater profit margin on the book,
Right.
but I just gained a customer. I just gained somebody who can help promote my work.
There you go.
And if I'm going in with that attitude, people pick up on it and they're like, well, he's cool.
Right.
And I've seen this work. I'm not talking hypothetically.
Right.
I'm talking about somebody who's worked from under the dirt, you
Right.
know, to the point of you know, having major publishers.
Yeah, I've seen it work, and I've definitely been in a similar situation before, and
Yeah,
I've been able to kind of work it out to where we were able to, effectively work something out to where it worked out in our favor to,
right. So we might not have made as much,
right.
but we made something, and we joined. We joined. Now everybody know there's people out there who want to try to get over.
Oh
Now
yeah.
that's a whole nother thing.
Hmm.
If you just trying to get over. But there's people who try to get over on Gucci with the knockoffs and they get robbed like everybody else.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know, so you're gonna have the wicked ones, you know what I'm saying, on whatever level you're on. Banks get robbed.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately.
So the whole thing is that, look, can we work it out? So I'm gonna take a hit, all right? I got that, you
Right.
know. If the rent gonna get paid, yeah. Okay, am I gonna eat? Yeah. But I moved my product today. And I gained somebody who could also, help to spread the word.
Absolutely.
Bottom line for me.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I mean that's how I see it. I see it that way as well because like I said, I've been in similar situations where it was able to be worked out and worked out in our favor, but I also get the frustration of knowing that I don't feel like a lot of people go into other businesses or establishments doing that. But it is what it is. But
well,
that's part of that's part of the process, part of growth, and that's where I feel like with like you were saying initially from the first answer in terms of the benefit of having a meeting place or having a lighthouse or having a institute or something of that form or fashion that we can get together and we can kind of strategize and just learn and grow, congregate, and fellowship with one another. That's where we can kind of really, in small steps or phases, be able to start to kind of transition and phase out that sort of thinking or that sort of mentality by being willing to uplift and empower each
right.
other or invest with or in each other. Those are all different dynamics that I feel like we have to kind of push the issue or push the narrative to let people know that not only is it okay to do that, it's
Mhm.
what we're supposed to do. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? Like, so, divided, united we stand, divided we fall. You know what I mean? So it's definitely more benefits to collaboration over competition in terms of us and forward progress.
Right. And then you gotta have to watch out for hustlers on both ends, man.
Right. Right.
Because there's some black businesses, they're overcharging. I
Yeah.
know it, you know it. Okay. Had a conversation with a brother the other day. He said he walked into the barber shop and, you know, first time going in, got a haircut. The brother told him $85. He was like, what? $85 for a haircut?
I saw something online like that literally just today. I don't know if it was based off of the story you saw or,
No,
it
no,
was,
this is happening all over,
oh
man.
yeah, I
This is
know.
happening
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I go there, I'm an elder. I'm supposed to pay $10. While
Right.
the brother's cutting my hair, he's like, well, if I do this, it's going to be another $10. And if I do that, it's going to be, hold up, young blood.
Right.
Okay, hold up. I don't know where you're coming from, but I'm going to tell you where I've been. Okay. Now, if you're going to try to hustle me, I'm going to get out this chair. I don't care if my hair's half done or not. And you ain't
Oh,
going to
that's
get
right.
nothing.
I know that's right.
All right. Because see, I'm not going to be hustled here today. But see, why do I have to come off like that?
Right. Right.
Why do I have to come off like that? I
Yeah.
might have given him the $10 and the $5 tip. But
Yeah.
hey, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, we do that to ourselves, unfortunately. That happened to me when I was on the continent.
See?
Yeah, he lost the opportunity because of the same thing. Like, look, this is what I got, bruh. You
Mhm.
know, he didn't want it. So, it is what it is. But my thing is like my goal was to empower as many people as I can by buying, their products and services because I got phenomenal products and services, but it's like it's one of those things where it was the marketplace. So, those prices are made on the fly in some instances. So it's just like I told him, this is what I have. And initially he was like, nah, I can't do it that low. So, then when we're getting ready to leave, he came back like, come on, okay, I'll do. I like, bro, I done already done bought a bunch, I done invested in a bunch of other other shops products and services. Now I done already spent my budget for the day. So it's like, so yeah,
You
it
about to
definitely can
blow,
be.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see it. I definitely see it both ways. That's
But
what's.
see, now let's bring the two elements together now.
Mhm.
When we have a place of consistency and we have vendors,
Mhm.
okay? When we have a place of consistency and we have people in position who have merchandise, okay? Then those of us who are a part of that consistency, we know that we don't do that to one another.
Right,
We're not hustling one another and
right,
we're not being hustled
right,
by one another.
right.
So you see, we build a wall where inside of our city, this is how we act. Because see, we're not going to change that.
Mm-mm.
We can talk about it until the last day.
Something come up, yeah,
We're going to hustle and folks are going to be hustlers,
yeah,
period. But inside of these Benin walls and inside of this space, we're all builders.
mm,
you know. And if a lawyer says his book is $8, I ain't even going to try to talk him down, you know. And if I tell him that my product is $15 and he wants it, he going to come up with 15.
right,
See? Because that's how we roll.
mm,
And then we become a model for others.
mm-hmm.
You see? So the money circulates among us, and then it circulates in that same fashion amongst the people whom we now circulate with.
Right,
And that's why the consistency factor of gathering
right.
is not important. It's absolutely necessary
Mandatory by any means
by
necessary.
any means.
Yes, sir. That's
Okay, well, hopefully
Yeah, no, no. I just because I mean I always like to pick your mind on different things, everything, just to kind of see where
uh,
you see it versus where I see it. But so with that, let's go into yes, it is mandatory for us to have that space for us to meet and to congregate and fellowship and learn and grow together. But where, because based off of what I sent you in terms of the overall vision of the curriculum and the strategy, where do you see how people in different phases of their path can benefit from having a place of a community and to be able to receive guidance, to receive coaching or mentorship or teaching, from a master teacher like yourself. What can they benefit from, and how do you see it that people in different phases of their journey can benefit as well. So you might have some people who are brand new, because I've had people who watched the channel and said they don't know what any of the words mean. Like, y'all break down some of the words like Isheshe or, even Ifa or Ekbe, things of that nature. And we'll get to that, in the future. But and then you also have people who are full-blown initiated priests or priestesses that don't have a relationship with their godparents, who still kind of trying to figure it out, although they went through the ceremonies and the processes, they still haven't been properly trained, and they still haven't had the consistency of an elder, of an Olowo, of an Ajibona, of, a teacher or a mentor to guide and coach them. Where do you see that we can fill that void and solve that problem for people on different phases of
Yeah. Well, this is a little background, in terms of, you know, why I'm not only passionate about my responses, but I'm also solidified,
it?
because I'm standing on my experiences. I'm not speaking hypothetically.
Sure.
I'm not speaking wishfully or even wistfully, you know. Um, I had my delay for 21 years.
Hmm.
I mean, consistently for
Mm,
21 years, not off and on, here and there, every now and then, but consistently for 21 years.
mm,
I've been a school teacher, okay, 25, 30 years.
mhm.
Now, a adjunct professor,
Right.
going on 10 years. And there's one thing, if I dare say I can take from all of that, is the power of consistency.
Mm,
Because if you coming in every now and then as the person who is providing the instruction, providing the knowledge, then every time you break that train of thought,
mhm,
there's a derailment. Every time you absence yourself, even if you're there and you're absent, there's a derailment.
mm,
So I've studied how to be an Alua.
mm,
I've studied how to be someone who is a guide. I've earned my seat as an elder,
mm.
not because I'm old, but because I
Put in the
put
work.
everything into it.
I share.
Okay. And everything has given itself back to me.
Mm, I share.
The necessity for the consistency ripples to all levels, from the Orisha, okay, all the way up to the Babas and Ears, and even to the Ifa priests.
Mm,
The Olagberi, people who don't even think about becoming Orishas,
mm,
they are also affected. They are also made knowledgeable.
mm,
I can turn on the TV right now, the television, okay, and see the vision of others. And whether I agree with it or not, I'm still being affected by it. I don't have to be a Christian to know what Christianity is.
mm,
I don't have to be a Muslim to know what Islam is.
mm,
And by me knowing that, part of my response to life comes through those channels, okay,
mhm,
programs that have all been devised to shape my mind, my
yeah.
mindset, and my vulnerability to be in control.
Mm,
Okay. My statement to my people is that that's what it is. Nothing's going to change that.
right.
But we can change the ultimate outcome of that.
I share.
Because when I'm talking about Ifa in, say, an essay that I'm sharing with my class,
Mm-hmm.
or they're reading an excerpt, from the book, or like I shared with you before, we actually did a play based on the screenplay that I wrote based on A Place of Nights.
Mm.
The students, and I'm talking about Black and Latino students, 99% Black. I've never heard these names before. You never heard the name Amina, or
Right.
I'm not just talking about Orisha. I'm just talking about everyday African names.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to initiate you,
Right.
you know, but I am trying to make you aware,
I should inspire,
to yeah,
empower,
to
educate.
reawaken you,
There you go. Yes, sir.
your ancestral sleeping, you know, recessive, suppressed. And when they started hearing those names, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play Amina. Oh no, I'm gonna play Omilana. I'm gonna play the names are starting to ring in the consistent space.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And those ancestors are what? You're calling me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so now, even if we're not calling them as much, they're still there.
I say.
You understand? And it can
Yeah.
be felt. And the students are doing better. Oh, well, you have to be a priest of, and these are the Orisha. No, 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 no. On that level, it's not necessary.
Right.
Now, when we start talking about people that, like, say, I'm working with now who are avaricious,
Mm-hmm.
then I told them, look, learn gradually,
Mm-hmm.
evolve gradually.
Right.
But if you're in a hurry, you're in the wrong place.
I say.
Okay. Because see, you have to absorb this. And it's like if you try to even if the meal is good and you try to
Right.
eat it too
Too
fast,
fast. Yeah. Be tragic.
exactly. Okay. Not only are you not savoring it, but you're not digesting it well.
And you can choke, you know.
No. Mhm.
I say, and you can choke, if you eat that, like for real, if you try to take something on too fast, water, food, whatever,
It
and
could kill you,
yeah, literally, yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the other end, you could be vomiting. The whole thing is just an entire mess.
Right,
Gradually. But I have to make sure to set the pace.
right.
You understand?
I should.
I have to make sure to set the pace, and what's best at the time, you know, to give, to give,
Hmm.
not to manipulate, not to control, but
Right.
to give the nourishment. So those are the aberration. Now you got the Babas and the Iyas.
Hmm.
Okay. And I've stated to you this to you, and I've stated unapologetically that we are still stuck in the tribalness and not in the civilizationness of our people.
Mm.
And I came across a piece the other day, and I said it was so on point
Hmm.
because, and this was from Zora Neale Hurston when she was interviewing the Nigerian brother who was on one of the last slave ships.
Hmm.
And he was saying, we had clothes. They tore the clothes off of us and then told the world that we were naked savages.
Mm.
But we had clothes. Okay.
Mm.
We had our language, and they're forcing us to speak in mumbles, and they're not feeding us, and they're making us look bad, and they're saying this is how we are, but this is not how we are,
Mm.
you know? So we're being made to look like something and sound like something that we're not. And then as Jim Crow comes along with the whole minstrel shows and all that kind of thing, and Jim Crow,
Mm.
we become caricatures and not characters.
Mm.
And we become other than the civilized, the criminality, the sexuality, it's not us,
Right.
okay? It's horrid abstractions of us. Now, take something that Trump did, okay? And
Mm.
and just kind of takes it to a whole nother level.
Mm.
So, he's guilty, 34 charges. He gets this thing out in New York and he brings on, to the stage, these two brothers,
Mm.
got criminal backgrounds,
Mm.
known to be hard case. And he presents them as, somebody who, that has his support.
Mm.
It's more than just getting votes. It's that white
Uh,
superiority statement that, you know, we have to care for them. You see how terrible they are? You
mm,
know, even if we put them in prison, we're still, you know, paternal.
mm,
You understand? They're
mm.
just savages, you see? And this is what he's presenting to his constituents,
Oh
you know.
yeah.
But see, that's all a part of that design. He's not just doing that because he's doing it. He's doing it because that's what's always been done. Okay. And so, yeah, there were definitely groups of us on the continent, okay, who were villagers,
Mm,
okay, who did engage in practices that even you and I would question,
mm-hmm.
okay, be it our place or not.
Right.
Okay? But the enslavers and the oppressors, they go and get this group and say, see how they are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get the kings and queens
Mm-mm.
and say this. One time I was doing a report and I typed Google kings of Africa. The first thing that came up was lions. I was like, ain't this a blip?
Listen, so you mean to tell me they couldn't find no pictures of the Oni who's sitting in the palace on that gold throne
But
that
see,
I
but
just saw
that's
a
what I'm
couple months
talking
ago? That he
That's what
didn't
I'm
even,
talking Oh, the whole list from you know the
you
command
know.
house
Yep. Right. Right.
last week.
Right.
Found some pictures of medieval palaces from
Mm,
Ethiopia
mm.
being one, Mali, Timbuktu,
Oh
and
yeah.
all of that. And I ran them off and I passed them out to my class.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm talking about 17, 18-year-old individuals.
Sudan, Nubia, hell, I got a tattoo of one of the oldest doggone. I ain't gonna show it on this thing, but it's on my chest. But yeah, one of the literally the oldest artifacts found that
Hmm.
symbolizes the royal A group in the royal A group in the cemetery of Tasseti in Nubia.
Yes.
And the candle, the incense, the Kustul incense burner. That resonated with me so deep I had to get it
That
put.
have put it on your body. That's
Yeah,
right. We
because it's
wear
like I
our
know where I come from. You can't tell
exactly
me no different
right.
because science and history is
Right.
showing me, regardless of
Exactly.
you telling
From
me.
the tidal wave,
Right.
it's not trickling down. And I can tell that because I'm in the educational field,
Facts.
you know, and I'm in the book industry. Oh, trust me, those publishers are trying to weed out just the way the schools are weeding out.
Oh yeah.
Okay. But my point is with the assignment. So the medieval castles, and I chose medieval because, you know, I got a message.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, look at these pictures and then write on the back, where do you think they're from? Got almost 30 students, maybe two of them, one, two, three of them are Latinos.
Mm.
That's 27 folks. Okay. Everybody said someplace in Europe.
Mm.
Nobody said any place on the continent of Africa.
Mm.
And I'm like, you see, this is what I'm trying to share with you because you do not conceptualize not only the palaces, but the royalty, the structure, the language, the organizational skills, the mathematical skills that go into running a civilization.
Mm.
You have no connection to that. And it's not your fault.
Right.
It's by design.
Mm.
And when I look at my brothers and sisters who are into Ifa, I see the same thing.
Mm.
I see the same thing.
Mm.
Yes, there may be tricklings here and there, such as yourself and myself.
Sure.
But in mass, I see more Catholicism
Mm.
than I see Africanism.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that as a put down, I'm just calling it like it is. There's no debate.
Yeah.
There are people who are more knowledgeable of the hierarchy of the Catholic than they are of the hierarchy of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Kemet, okay, the Bakongo people. There are more people in Isheshe who are knowledgeable of that, whether they adhere to it or not.
Right.
But as far as I've seen, a significant percentage do adhere to it
Mm.
and have no idea. If I gave those same pictures to everyone in every elay, I'm projecting that at least 90% of them would also put countries in Europe.
Wow. You think so?
I know so.
Wow.
I know so, based on where I've been and what I've seen.
Right.
Now, would I be pleasantly surprised if it were different?
Right.
Because I've been away from young avaricious and folks like that for a minute.
Right.
But from what I'm seeing that the media puts out and what I'm seeing that the school books continually put out in terms of the erasing of whatever semblance of we as a civilization, and still presenting the Tarzanian in various, forms.
Yeah. They're going above and beyond for that.
Yeah, and so this is how you were. This is how your people were. And I'm saying, no, that might have been a small percentage. Just like if I went to the Appalachian Mountains and pulled up some of them hillbillies and said, look, this is how white folks are. Well, yeah, a certain percentage of them are, but we're not going to dismiss the civilization, brought about by those who were of the palaces, the hierarchy, the Imhoteps. We're not going to, dismiss them and say it's all about, the poor white folks,
Right. Right.
because there were different socioeconomic levels within the African realization and
Right.
civilization as well. But we can't fathom it. And then I told him a story in closing of this capsule that when I went on a field trip with some young ones to Sesame Street,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And they had the whole Cinderella thing, the Snow White thing, and the castles and everything. But when they got to the African part, it was a little grass hut. I was pissed. I was upset. They're like, Mr. K, what's the matter? I'm saying I'm a little upset right now. Okay. All right. Because see, even back then I knew that we had royalty, we had castles, we had cities, we built walls stronger and longer than the Great Wall of China, the Wall of Benin, but never heard of it until it heard of me.
Mm.
Okay. So I said, I don't like the way they said, we're not coming back here anymore.
Mm.
So no, I'm not.
Wow.
I'm not coming back here anymore. Because see, these young ones, I think at the time, maybe they were like 9, 8, 8, 9 years old. And I said, well, I'll help look out for the little ones. But to
Right.
see that on something like Sesame Street, and I said that they're already starting. You see, the Europeans had the castles and the Snow Whites and the Cinderellas and the Lottie Da, But you guys, all y'all had was the little grass huts
Mm-hmm.
and the drums and the dancing. That's all y'all had.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, man, I was pissed.
And rightfully so, because you got to think, of course, they're not going to speak of the greatest wonder of the world still standing high and proud in the Great Pyramids of Kemet, with Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. You know what I mean? Like, so why? Of course, we know what it's about, but that's the thing where I make it my point to teach the children when I'm in the schools is because you have to know your history, and not only is your history a divine history of royalty, but your history is written in stone. And
Yeah,
not only is it written in stone, it's written in the most prolific stone monument on the planet. So let's just, I don't even play with it. I'm like, so let's just be clear. The
yeah,
things that
yeah.
you hear are the things that you need to hear, for what is going to resonate inside of here. You know what I mean? So,
Exactly. Now back to the consistency factor.
yeah,
Because if you just go in one day out of 180 days,
right,
oh, the system's going to make sure they
right, Oh
They
yeah.
press that
Look
down
at
and
everything you done put in there. Yeah.
right. But back to having, the continual gatherings,
Right.
because now young parents are letting their children listen in on a consistent basis. Now it's not, a cult movement or some radical folks trying to get together. No, we are repatriating ourselves.
Mm.
If I can coin that phrase, maybe I need to write it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of
Listen.
looking for reparations from
Right.
them, which they are apparently slow at giving back. You know what I mean?
It, if
We,
ever.
right. We're going to self reparate, in terms of laying down the foundations, you know, for the civilization of us and not for the continual misrepresentation of us. Okay.
Wrote it down. Hopefully I spelled it right. I'll send it to you.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Tell
It's
you.
all right. We're gonna make it work.
Because you see, if we're meeting consistently, but what wheel are we building that becomes part of the the gears that move our people forward, that get us back on track to not being what we've been presented as being,
Mm,
you know, but to get back on track with what we're talking about.
mm,
Being the engineers, being the scientists, being the herbalists and the healers, being those who can live long enough, to speak the study of us, deeply enough, profoundly enough, consistently enough, that is making waves and not just trickles.
mm. I sure. The keepers of the shrines.
Yeah, keepers of the shrines.
Mm. Yeah, that's powerful. So yeah, that whew, there was a lot. There was a lot. There was a lot to unpack.
Well, I
I
always
love it.
warned you before you have
No,
me.
and listen, like listen, the people love it, man, like for real. So that's it's I have to be consistent because it's making a positive impact, and I'm proud of it. Because for me, this is not work. I love doing this. It's easy. It's just talking, and I love having the opportunity to speak to people, like you and people who are outliers, in terms of the space of influence, in the space of education, in the space of history, and cultural preservation, all these things, they matter to me because like you say, when I'm long gone, these will still be here. You know what I mean? And it's not for me, it's for those who are gonna make something of the things that we were able to put, into the universe and into the cosmos to spread that ether, and to spread that energy and to spread that ashe. And I feel like, that's what is divine, and all this happening. So, I love it. And I think what's more gratifying for me is the feedback that I get. And speaking of which, before I go to the next question, I received like two or three phenomenal praises and accolades to give you by way of some listeners. And I told them I couldn't wait to tell you because I know that you love doing this work probably more than I do because you've been doing it longer, and I know you love it, and I love it too. But yeah, it's making a very positive impact, and I'm looking forward to continuing, especially on the private, smaller, intimate aspects, or I should say, environment as well. But
Mhm.
one person told me something right before I went to Nigeria, and I'm
Mhm.
going to tell you, but it just came to my mind just now. But he told me that one of the episodes that we did, it literally saved his life.
Aye.
And I was like, yo, that's powerful. I appreciate you sharing that. But he was in a tough spot. He was in a very tough space. And I think, at that point, I think he was thinking the unthinkable. But
Hey.
it said that that particular episode, and this was a while back. I think this was probably maybe 2, 3 years old on the very first podcast I did, the Food for Thought. But he said that, yeah, he's like, he showed me a picture and everything. He's like, man, he's like, bro, he was like, I had that video playing on repeat every day. I forgot how many days in a row he said he watched it, but he said, and I would watch it in my shrine room because it was able to feed me and heal me from the dark space that I was in. And I don't remember which episode it was or what it was that was said, but I do know he showed me a picture of it. And it really it blew my mind in a positive way because we never know the influence or the positive, nurturing or just even inspiring or healing that we're doing for people. We never know who we're touching or who we're helping. But for him to say that, and I mean, I know he was serious. Nobody would lie about that. But it was amazing. I was like, man, I can't wait to talk to him again. I'm gonna tell him. And it just slipped my mind from the time I've been back into, all this other stuff that's going on. But I want to make sure that I gave you those flowers because I was like, yo, that, I appreciate it. That's powerful. And it really inspired me because prior to that time, I think I had took a break from doing the shows for like a week or two, trying to prepare, to go to the journey. When he told me that, I said, man, you have no idea. You inspired me because now that just gave me another jolt of energy, knowing that this work is necessary and I already love to do it. So it's like, now I know I gotta, get back and get back to it. So yeah, it's something that, I'm looking forward to the future and to do it as long as we can.
Hey, okay, okay.
Shade. So, excuse me. So I know the time is winding down, and we had a little rough start with the technology not cooperating for us to get it started. But if you got time, I'd like to drop a couple more questions in there just for the sake of sharing, tapping into this divine energy and wisdom that you got going on here tonight.
Okay, I'm good. No, come on, make it happen, man. Okay.
One of the questions, matter of fact, if I'm gonna pull it up because it was I've been asking people, the people who have been giving the feedback on the from the channel and from the excuse me from the content, like what would they like to see more of, what topics or what subjects would you like to hear or be discussed, and I'll work towards getting the proper guests or me putting the proper shows together to kind of bring that content to the channel or to our platforms in the community. But one of them is I got to that the words were, I believe it would be very helpful to discuss preparing our homes, preparing the homes for the spiritual practices of everyday life and the action that takes place. Yes, we're here in our homes in a physical place from a physical reality, but we also, for those of us who are not accustomed to or have the space to dedicate rooms for their homes, rooms in their homes for shrines or altars, how can we prepare our homes so that our homes are welcoming for our spirits? And I'm assuming that then when she says that, the spirits will be our ancestors or Orisha. So that question was like, what are some practices or some exercises or rituals that could be done in the home to
Mhm.
set the environment to the home where it's pleasant and welcoming and inhabitable for our ancestral spirits or for the Orisha spirits, for the Egbe or all the different visitors that we can get from the unseen realm. So I thought that was a phenomenal question. So I said, you know what, let me pose that question when I talk to Baba and see what we can come up with for that.
Okay, well, you know, everybody live on different levels, socioeconomic. Some people got mansions, some people living in a, crowded space, with relatives.
Hmm.
And some people, living on the streets, man. You
Yeah,
know. So there are variables to take into consideration. You know. Let's just say in general, okay, because you see, every unique situation must be embraced uniquely.
got you.
You
And I,
know, other than that, it becomes indoctrination. You
mhm.
know,
Yeah,
and personally, I shy away from that.
right,
This is the way that it has to be done. No, it depends on your situation.
right,
Depends on the variables. Okay. But in general, based on the fact that she even asked the question, she's probably more stable than not.
right.
Okay. Uh, I would start with cleanliness.
Mm,
Okay. From dirty clothes to dirty corners to, making sure every night the dishes are done.
hmm.
Okay. that whole, needing to be clean, um, taps into Odu, Ofun, Meiji. Okay.
Mm.
Even in terms of not leaving your drawer, your drawers open, making
Hmm.
sure everything is tight, making sure everything is contained.
Mm.
Okay. And now you can start talking about fragrance,
Mm.
okay, anywhere from incense to flowers, okay, anywhere from oils to mist, anywhere to in any room where when you breathe, you're breathing in what makes your home peaceful
Mm.
internally. And then you continually work that in a reciprocal nature.
Mm.
Because when people are depressed, they generally don't take care of their homes.
Right.
When people are having stresses and mental, challenges, they generally aren't detailed in terms of their environment.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be a personality walking in and making sure every little thing is done.
Right.
But,
Right.
realistically speaking, keep up with your place.
Right.
Keep it clean. Don't keep dirty things around. No. Okay. Now, if I'm living in some part of the outskirts of Lagos,
Mm.
if I'm living in Shantytown, okay, it may be harder to do,
Right.
but it's not impossible.
Right.
Okay. Now, I came up down south and I remember living in a slave cabin.
Mm.
Okay, with the outdoor toilet and the whole nine, going this was in South Carolina. This wasn't in South, Southern Nigeria,
Right.
or
Right.
any state in Nigeria. But the whole thing is, grandma made sure the place was clean, you know, and mom made sure that you're gonna scrub these walls.
For sure.
And with no talk of ancestors or reach anything. No.
Mm.
Get get that bucket of water, clean these walls down.
For sure.
All right. That kind of thing. I don't see people doing that with their kids anymore. You know what I mean? I don't sense that kind of thing. But I know now, looking back on it, but that was to keep peaceful and harmonious spirits in the home.
Mm.
It wasn't just a chore,
Right.
it was a spiritual practice.
Mm.
You understand where I'm going? So, I think sometimes people are looking for, the woo woo woo, but then it's really just like, come on now. Come on now. Spirits aren't really that complicated.
Sometimes less is more.
Okay? Because you can have a sparkling home and a maid's doing it, or a butler. And you can have pristine Orisha, a museum in your home, you know.
Still
But
have a
that doesn't
rotten
mean you're going to
core.
be a good person, huh?
Right. No, I said, and still have a rotten core or
And
a
then
rotten
still have
core or a rotten spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
it's like
Okay.
somebody putting on a brand new beautiful dress or suit, but didn't put no deodorant on and take a shower first. You can, you still got to do basic fundamentals.
Or even worse, going out to do some kind of trippy stuff.
Yeah.
You look good, but you got evil in your heart,
Mm.
you know? So the whole thing is, in response to that, while you are striving to make your home, a good place for good spirits,
Mm.
don't neglect your true home.
Yes, sir. I
Okay.
should.
And you work it out gradually. Again, keep everything as clean as possible. You don't have to be so meticulous that you're absurd, but
Right.
at the same time, pleasant smells, a cleanliness about it, all right? Having spiritual symbols that are meaningful to you. Like I saw this online, I purchased it. I'm supporting the brother who did it.
I
I
love
see
that picture
the
too.
essence. I got another one which is Oshun. Maybe the next time I'll put that one up. But and like I told you, we were having a meeting and I said he's screaming in my ear. I need to change.
Right. Right.
what I mean? So the spirits are here.
Mm.
Okay. But I didn't need a diviner to tell me to do it.
Right, right.
I didn't need to pay somebody to make some, $400 sacrifice, to tell me to do. No, no, come on, people. It's really not that difficult. And then you start to see what's harmonizing in your home and what's not. What smells bring a greater peace and which ones have virtually no effect. We ain't talking about Glade right now. We're talking about frankincense and myrrh right now. You know what I mean?
He's
So
lavender.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and now we're going to start to study maybe perhaps a little aromatherapy.
Mm.
We're going to, we can wait and be told, but once we kind of get the message, we have to apply our own uniqueness to the message
I sure.
and say, okay, fine. I may not want to bring in a certain type of wood in my home, but I like ebony. Ebony speaks to me.
Mm.
So I'm gonna get that type of, I'm gonna get a statue. I might not be comfortable setting up, a shrine,
Mm.
but I'm gonna have a few statues and some fabric. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm gonna Africanize my mind so that I can Africanize my home so that I can say more holistically, welcome, you know,
I sure.
spirits. That's how we respond to that as a reflex. Other
Mm.
than that, weigh the variables, check the uniqueness,
Right.
and then move from there. But right now, my response to her would be still,
Mm.
listen, okay, and then move on what you hear.
Mm.
She has to know generally, what's going down.
Oh
That's
yeah.
an assumption.
Mhm.
In terms of cleanliness and in terms of aromatherapy,
Yeah.
in terms of keeping her body and her soul clean.
Hmm.
Build on that. And then if you have a particular Orisha, then start to welcome that Orisha more so by having the symbolic artifacts and implements
Hmm. I sure.
that are appealing. Or if you do remember grandma or somebody just passed, have something there that would be a reminder, not only to you, but also to them
Mm.
of their existence.
Reciprocity.
Yeah, in your home,
Sure.
your home.
I sure. Yeah, that no, that's a powerful answer. I got two more. I got two more. So one, trying to think which one should I ask first. So one, what because okay, and this I think you're definitely the perfect person to ask because I know you're
Okay, you set me
overall.
up, right?
Yeah, because I know for a fact this answer, if I ask multiple people, I'll get multiple answers. But I just know the way you and your mind works.
Mhm,
I can't wait to hear it because I know it's gonna be raw and real, unapologetically. But
mhm,
for the sake of those, and I'll speak for myself and a couple of others that I know who are children of Obatala.
mhm,
Uh, so we have a reputation in I know here in my Elay, but I think it's maybe some others too. But we have a reputation for being very uh what's the word should I say? Um I won't say over the top, but we have a reputation for being uh very serious about our rituals and our daily devotion or practices per se. But then I also have some elders who I hold in the highest regards and the highest, light and respect that are not so like dedicated to, I can say dedicated, but have to go to their shrines on a daily, basis and give offerings or adimu, on a daily consistent basis based off of the 5 day Orisha calendar, et cetera.
mhm,
But what I try to teach people or at least share with people that I'm training or I'm coaching or I'm just, whatever my role is with them in terms of this journey is to do it based off of how you feel, what feels right with you, what makes you feels right within you and how you establish your communication and your relationship and your rapport with
Mhm.
your ancestors or with your Orishas, if they have them, or with their shrines or their pots that they have, whatever part they're at. But some people say that we need to pray and do our offerings and our animals and
Mhm.
our libations, everything on us every single day on a daily basis. Some people are more so of the light where I don't do it every day, but when I do it effectively because they feel as if it's better to do it in the moment where they know that they can dedicate the proper time and be effective with it or impactful with it versus just doing it every day for the sake of doing it, even if it's not as maybe dedicated or
Mhm.
as strong or impactful. So in terms of a daily ritual uh schedule, or I guess practices, how do you
Mhm.
feel it's best for an Aberisha or even a Baba Orisha or Yanifa Babala? How do you feel is best for us to engage into our spiritual practices on a daily basis?
You asked the wrong person, brother. Because what I'm about to say,
That's why I asked you.
yeah, I know that's why you asked me, because I'm gonna be way out of the box on this.
Listen, I'm setting the tone for what we talked about last week with the other thing that I got in store. So go ahead, man, because I gotta laugh more. I don't laugh enough.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start off with this whole thing about Obatala peoples, okay?
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
because you're one.
and again, I was presented with Obatala because that I'm Omo Orisha,
Hmm,
that they, that's what is even a part of my name. It's like
gotcha.
got to give you Obatala because you're gonna keep things even amongst the Orisha in your head in a certain kind of okay productivity mode.
Hmm.
Okay. And you know, all of the Orisha and even Obatala, I mean, there's sides that aren't as on point, but it's the Obatala essence that says, okay, we got to get on point.
Hmm.
And even when I perform, you know, people come up and say, "Oh, you're the serious one."
Hmm.
Okay,
Right.
because I'm there to get something done in a way that I know is bringing out the best in me, which is going to have a rippling effect on others.
Right.
When I
Gotcha.
step into the classroom, oh, it's no warm up time. Okay, get your books out. Let's get ready. Yeah, I came here to work. What you come here to do?
I know that's right. I
And
say,
the students are like, yeah, okay. Right now, I don't even have to tell them. It's like, okay, professor's coming in. We got to get ourselves right.
right.
Okay. And that's not because I'm dominating. It's because I'm setting a productivity state of mind where a seriousness is absolutely necessary. Because the only reason we playing outside of ourselves is because we playing inside of ourselves.
Mm,
So that over to lie essence is like, okay, we got to set this up. And yeah, I'm serious about it. If you're saying I'm serious, then what are you?
right. Right.
And if you're not serious, then maybe I need to step to the left.
But why are you wasting our time?
Exactly.
Mine
Okay, well, I'm
and
just here
yours.
to have a good time. I'm just here. Okay, well, have your good time. But what's your purpose? You understand what I'm saying? We are relentless. If what are you in pursuit of? And I tell people, oh, I want my lucky in why?
Right.
Why? What do you intend on doing? What do you want to do? Because if you don't know where you're going, it's going to be hard for us to get there.
Right.
So let's establish that first. Oh, you're so serious. Yeah. Is it that noticeable?
Right. Right. And why are you not?
To some degree, I understand why you're not.
Right.
One, because you're not over to law, right? And two, because we've been scatterbrained from conception. Okay. So I just wanted to address that because that kind of hit home.
No, I listen.
Like you're always so serious. Well, and I'm getting old too.
Listen,
So, you know, no. I'm not here to have a good time. I'm
right.
here to get it done.
There's a time and a place.
Huh?
I know. I said there's a time and a place.
There's a time and a
Time and a
place.
place.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Now, as far as this, you know, what to do and when to do it and what and when and where and how and all of that, I'm not a proponent of any of that.
Mm.
Okay. And you know, as I've stated and will continue to state, you know, Isheshe, Ifa is not my religion, you know, it's my existence.
Mm.
But I wouldn't have gotten to this stage of inner realization, of self epiphany, if I hadn't gone through that type of training.
Not sure.
Now, I can't say that everybody's going to reach to where I am.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm higher. I'm not saying I'm lower.
Right.
Okay? I am where I am,
Mm.
you know, and I'm confident in it. I see the results of being an authentic person
Sure.
in a Yangi D. That's what a Rumula wants us to be. You know, we might as well be AIs if everybody doing the same thing at the same time and all that kind of stuff. Now, there are people who need to do that. There are people sitting in church. There are people sitting in mosques. You know,
Mm.
there are people in Shaolin temples, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's fine. I get it. But there are also people who aren't in there.
Mm.
Okay. There are also people who aren't in there, who are living their lives as religiously in terms of keeping themselves from the strangulation or of evil and wickedness.
Mm.
Because there's evil people who do things every day religiously. The
Mm.
mafia folks were going to church. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh,
There
yeah.
are people who lynched us holding Bibles, go to church every day on Sunday, pray to God every day, but they're
Yeah.
going to lynch.
Mm-hmm.
So you understand? I'm looking at this realistically.
Right.
So if somebody got to stand over you with a whip and basically tell you that you have to do this every day, I would question their motives.
Mm.
Okay. I would question what they really want you to become.
Mm.
An authentic human being who bask in their own uniqueness and who grow like trees in a forest, or like someone who's still following some kind of, you know, basically, you know, do what I tell you to do, or you're gonna burn in hell, or the Orisha not gonna bless you, or this, that, and other thing. I'm like, come on, man, come on,
Right.
come on. Okay. Looking at our people as children who have to be, you know, cared for, and
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna look out for you. Then y'all have to look out for me. I can look out for my own damn self.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Now, what we ought to do is foster and reflect upon each other's uniqueness. What are you bringing to the table?
Mm. That's
Okay. How are we going to work with what you have to make what we have
mm.
better?
Mm.
And if you feel as though at this point in your growth that you have to do what you're learning to do on a day-to-day basis, then fine. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it,
Right.
but you don't need to tell me that I should do it either.
Right.
Okay. Because I've already established, and there are millions of people who would probably want to get in these shake, but they're not feeling liberation.
Mm.
It's more of the same.
Mm.
Okay. You got to do this. You got to basically buy your way into heaven by, you know, every time you get a divination, you got to
Do
go
O's and
for the EPO and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's that same type of mentality. Okay. And again, we don't find that in the Odu. This is not a Rumulus teaching.
mm.
Okay. So it's like, okay, well, there's some people who feel as though they want to do that. There's some people who may even feel as though they need that. They need, somebody to tell them what to do, and they need to give of themselves on a daily basis, and they need to do what they need to do. And I'm like, okay, then just do it.
Mhm.
But don't turn around and look at the people who don't do it and say, oh, well, you're not as committed, or
Right.
you're not as good as I am, or you're not doing it the right way, and all that kind of BS, man. Who are you? Who are you?
Oh, yeah.
You know? So my thing is, let's kind of bring ourselves up from being children and childlike and embrace the responsibility that we need to embrace as adults
Mm.
who can establish communion with their own inner essence and their own spirit, and through that, how they embrace Orisha and even how they embrace Ifa.
Mm.
You've been to the continent. Man, I've been three, 4 times. And it's like you can have people doing it one way on this side of the street and doing it another way on the other side of the street.
Listen, if we had the time, I would go into that too, but I'm gonna wait for the next call. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
a whole, and that literally is a whole workshop presentation within itself, because, and that's another thing that I share with people who are new, is like, I'm gonna tell you this from what I've studied, what I've researched, what I've learned, what I've been taught, but I'm gonna tell you now, you're gonna see a lot of different things depending on where you look, or you're gonna hear a lot of different things depending on who you listen to. It's going to
right,
be a little different. Every house, every elay, every town, everybody has their own way of how they do things. So,
right,
it's just as long as the basic core fundamentals are the same, then,
right,
you kind of take whatever resonates and feels right within you or with you and
right,
take that and apply it. And then whatever doesn't, kick that to the curb and toss it. You know what I mean? But for the most part, nothing's going to be uniform because there have been so many different variations of this tradition that's
mhm,
based upon whoever the progenitor or whoever the eldest of the elders were, that was the person or the emissary who received, the information or the training or the teachings, etc. So but that is something that is, I do want to put forth some sort of effort to kind of create at least some sort of almost like a verbal or video version of like a summary, kind of like you have in the back of your books. You know,
right.
you can kind of break down the words of, or I should say the definition or the meaning of what some of these words are, because that is something that I have gotten feedback that, some beginners would like just to find out what a lot of the words mean, in terms of Egun or Egbe or, a
Yeah.
lot of different terms we use.
But see, that's core. I mean, and it is right on point.
Hmm?
And and the reason why, I'm filling up with spirit is because that's what moved me to write the books.
Hmm. I sure.
So people have those kind of questions. It's like, okay, what you waiting for somebody to tap you on the head? There are materials now out there, and especially written by us for us in terms of you know, and we can start with that one. I got 5 more.
Yeah.
Take your pick. But the point is, start doing something.
Hmm.
So, oh, I don't know this and I don't know that, but there's books out there, and this one just out. It's a little bit, more of the personalization. And
Hmm.
that's why it's called Elder Reflections. And I moved her to read a piece. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And it's real short,
Oh no, that's
real.
fine. Like, look, my questions. Them last two, them were the ones I wanted to. Hell, I can go all night too, but for the sake of time, and I got to deal with the family. But yeah, I got my questions out, so I'm good.
All right, so here we go. Okay. My birthday is December 13th. I was born in 1952 in Florence, South Carolina, and I'm enjoying more so each and every moment of my eclipsing life. That said, I'm adding to this book of books a few side stories that reflect my state of mind. It's titled A New Chapter, Not the Epilogue.
Hmm.
12/11/22. Guests are starting to arrive in celebration of my birthday. Though they are ghosts from my past lives and living, They bring gifts of better days to come and of wonders to behold.
Mm.
I suspect a number of my ghostly guests are angry, but they seem cool. Fortunately, in anticipation of the possibility that I might be having company, I went ahead and cooked. I have brown rice, black-eyed peas, leafy greens, carrots, and blended protein shakes. They know I'm vegan, LOL. Anyway, hopefully there's enough to eat. My ghostly guests appear hungry and ready to party down.
Mm.
The ghosts, as I've come to understand, are memories. By coming to grips with this revelation, I've opened doors long ago shut and forgotten. In the course of several days and up to my solar return, I've been able to recall my early childhood events, names, and pictures, all as if I were looking through a very old scrapbook hidden in plain sight amongst dusty
Mm.
items in the attic of my mind.
Mm.
Through it all, I've doubled up on my journey through this thing called life. Down south, up north, school, academics, athletics, army, college, children, employment. It's been a life fulfilled, and I'm still here. And for all the days that turned into years, as if overnight, my only desire to move forward without regression, something called Iwa Laye.
Mm. I
Okay?
see.
This is what I mean. This is Ifa opening up the true essence of who I am,
Mm.
you know? And do I need to continually, do an do every day in order to reach it? Well, at one point, yes.
Yeah.
Did I need to prostrate myself in front of my Obatala and Oshun? At one stage, yes. Okay. But I'm not a Shaolin monk. My whole life is not dedicated into being in one place doing one thing, you know, continually. You see, I'm not a part of that movement of Sufis who live off the grid and they do the same thing all the time every month.
Mm.
Every Muslim doesn't make Juma. Every Muslim doesn't salat every day. Every Christian doesn't go to church Monday through Monday.
Right.
You understand
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So does that make them a better or worse person?
Doing that.
So then why would we want to put constraints on the new Aberisha or those who are just seeking, oh, something's calling me, but I don't want to get into all that. Oh, I got to go here, I got to do that. They say if I don't do this, and then I go to Nigeria, Ejibo come back with one Obatala stone. And I share that with my Babalaud. Oh, it wasn't done right. You should have 8 stones. I'm like, what freaking difference does it make how many stones I have? Ultimately,
Right.
you looking down on me, and I just came back from the Araba
Mm.
and 100-year-old matriarch
Mm.
because I don't have 8 stones. Man, get out of here. I was done with all of them. I'm through. Take your indoctrination and your gentrified, way of understanding Ifa on over there somewhere.
Mm.
Okay? Kiss the hand of the Pope and be
Mm.
happy. Okay? I'm not going to do it. I ain't kissing his hand or his behind.
I know that's right. Kick
It's
it.
not going to happen.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So I don't have to follow the indoctrination of it when I've been open up to listen,
Mm.
you know, and to be so moved. Next thing you know, I'm writing 5 or 6 books.
I say.
Next thing you know, I got a temple for 21 years. Next thing you know, even up to today, like I shared earlier, people are still on the podcast talking about my books. Am
Oh
I
yeah.
out there trying to be famous and look what I do every day? And, we got to do this and we got to do that. No, the only thing we have to do is repatriate ourselves.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I should. Nah, that's it. That's a mic drop. Yeah, yeah, nah, that's powerful. And that's why I said that's why I love the opportunities that I have to have these kind of conversations because, it's one thing for me as a student to be able to actually speak and have that rapport. And I try to make it a point to always tell you and all the other elders who've taken the time to kind of take me under your wings, but to have the experience of reading the work and studying, from the text and all the different lessons that you all have laid out, but to be able to have a relationship, man, and to be able to have these kind of calls, it means everything to me because it's a legacy, and I just feel like for me, your legacy has been set in stone a long time ago, but you still putting in the work, and that inspires me because it reminds me when I go to the gym and I see elders in the gym still in
Mm,
putting in the work, and that just lets me know you better not ever quit or give up, or take days off because if this elder can do it, and some of them look just as good, and I promise even better than me, and I'm like, yo, and I'm talking about like so but it's motivation, it's
yes.
inspiring, even like you putting out the reflections book. You've been getting on me for a while now about putting out my book. So now it's like, okay, that's I feel like it's a healthy, not competition, but healthy inspiration.
Right.
And
Right.
it inspires me in a lot of different ways to work harder and to put forth the energy and the effort to solidify creating some sort of legacy. So I just always give thanks for the opportunity, as well as being able to be just the messenger, the journalist, the researcher who has the opportunity to pick the minds of the masters. And that within itself, I'm grateful for that. So I definitely give thanks. Mudapwe and Adapwe before, you and all that you've done for this platform and as well as the time that you've spent with me, for the opportunity to share this with the people because it's making an impact and that's what it's about. I'll never forget one of the calls we had where you mentioned something similar, what you just said about is more about impact over more about it's not about popularity, it's about impact.
Mm,
And I know that, from knowing you, I know how significant that is, and that just inspires me. Even to one of the calls I was on last week with one of the projects that we're working on behind the scenes that we were just speaking about. And one of the brothers was mentioning some of the people that I've worked with and how, they said it in a very encouraging, inspiring way. But, for me, I was like, I appreciate it. I said, but I'm here to do the work. I don't need or want any accolades for anything because I feel like the work speaks for me. That's what I want to be remembered as my work. I don't care about all the other stuff because like Malcolm said, religion ain't been working for us all this time, so we need to put that in the closet and start nation building. And,
yeah.
and we come back and revisit religion and all the other stuff after we got the nation built. You know what I'm saying? So for me, my focus, the eye on the prize, is to build this nation. And I'll accept an award if I was to ever be presented, but that didn't matter to me. What mattered is getting the texts and the calls and the responses from the
Mm,
people that, I was able to share with you on the impact that these conversations have had on their lives, and some of sorts even saving their lives. That's what this is for. And that's what, I appreciate the opportunity to do with you.
what do you feel about the piece that I read?
I love it. I love it. And it reminds me so funny. It reminds me of an elder. I don't remember her name.
Mhm.
Dang it. But she's doing her thing. She's a HHA priestess up there in Atlanta. She's a doctor. She's doing her thing. But anywho, Baba Tolu interviewed her on his podcast, Dancing with Ifa. And
Mhm.
I recall her traveling back. I don't remember what the question was he asked her, but I'll never forget her answer. And it had something to do with along the lines of her spirituality or something. But I
Mm,
just recall her saying that as a little girl, she's always like heard voices and always communicated with her ancestors. And I remember her saying she used to have a little table, just like most little girls, where she would have little tea parties. But
mm,
at her tea party, it wasn't just her. Like she really had, elders, ancestors who came and sat down and drank tea with her, you know what I'm saying, and ate her little whatever make believe,
mm,
cakes and this, that, or that. So as you were reading it,
mm,
and then when I got the gist of what you were really saying, like, yo, that's nuts. Like this reminds me of what EI said. I cannot remember her name, but it was
mhm.
I loved it because it brought me back to her experience as well. And it just goes to show for the listeners of those out there who have not had those experiences yet, and for those who have, to know that for one, it is real and our energy does translate and cross over in and out of different existences and dimensions, and you know what I mean, like in supernatural manner,
Right.
and that nothing is like new under the sun, and nothing someone can do that can't be done to
Mhm.
change any of this, because energy is the most profound, I feel like, element in the universe.
Right.
And we're created with, the most powerful asset or aspects of that energy, which would be water and air. So, and that's immortal because you can't kill water or air, it just transforms. And I feel like that's when you share stories like that, that's what I feel. I feel a sense of someone who's walked the path and experienced the life that they've been able to resonate and relate to multiple dimensions and multiple experiences and multiple levels of this thing that we call existence.
Right. And then have that, like music, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And have that kind of vibration in, because when a person is reading it or listening to it, you start to resonate. Oh, I remember something like that. Oh,
Yeah.
and then there's people like the question about the house. Well, how do you even think about your birthdays?
Mm-hmm.
Solar returns as you age. Are you taking note of what happened? On this birthday, I got ghosts coming over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then coming to realize that they're memories that have come to life,
Mm-hmm.
and they're coming to me, and I've taken care of everything for them. Back to, what do you do with your home?
Mm.
You- so yeah, I cooked up some dishes, just like you're saying with the elder with the tea party. It's
Yeah.
like, these
Yeah.
aren't imaginary friends.
Yeah.
These are, essences of existence who are
Yes.
reshaping themselves
Through me.
through me.
Mm-hmm.
But back to that Obatala thing, what's the purpose?
Mm.
Okay. Well, my purpose, what I share with them, why everybody partying down, is that we may be having a good time, but I got a reason for all of this.
I
There's
should.
a reason, and you know it as well as I know. You know why you're here.
I should.
You're not just a memory, okay? You're a wisdom,
Mm.
okay? You're not just a memory. You're an understanding, okay? You're not just a memory. You're a knowledge of self.
Mm.
And now I have to bring my part into it and say, I'm moving forward in life without regression. I'm
Mm.
not going to do the silly stuff that I've done before. Not just because I'm getting older, but because I'm getting wiser.
Mm.
I'm understanding more. And knowledge is just flooding.
Elevating and
Right.
expanding as well.
You understand what I'm saying? So I have Iwalaye in front of me, and it's like a Rumila. I get it. I get it. Excuse my hard-headedness and my wayward ways, but you've been patient
I should.
and you understand the consistency factor and the gradual growth.
Mm.
Okay. That everybody fast in a hurry, they miss so much.
Right. Mm. I should. Yes,
So
sir.
that's what came to me to write that. And that was 2 years ago.
Wow.
So
Nah,
imagine where I am now. I'm just completely out of it.
yeah, nah, I can't wait to finish it because even like I said, even the pieces that I did tap
Mhm.
into, I love it. And we spoke about why I love it, because I feel like it's something that
Well,
more
I'm gonna
people
shut
can
up.
relate, not just relate, but can benefit from and be able to interact with. I think
Mhm.
that's where I really like the creativity that you put into that part of it.
I think you called it the call and response part.
Call and response. Yes, sir. The ebb and flow. Call and response. Yeah. It went back to what I was saying earlier. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. And what I was telling that brother is, had I not studied him and watched all the YouTube videos and, just learn excuse me, from him in order to put together that piece of work, I don't see myself being able to have his phone number to call him and talk to him the way, like with you, like the way I
Right.
do, because I put in the work. And to go back to what you were saying, I worked for that, and I feel like I know you get that all the time. You and a lot of people who've accomplished as much as you do, people coming up with ideas and but you don't have time to deal with everyone. But I think for the ones who are prepared to that do show you some sort of evidence that they are putting in the work, I feel like most people will make time to kind
Yes.
of help those out because they know they're not looking for a handout, but they're looking for an opportunity. And I think there's a big difference between the two.
Yeah. And even kindred spirits.
But that too, yeah, and you can't forget that, sure.
Kindred, cut from the same cloth. All right,
Sure.
let's get this tapestry together, and make something happen up in here. You
I
know?
say that's good.
Yeah. All right, brother.
But yeah, I appreciate it, Baba. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I appreciate y'all for joining us, for tapping in. This has been another phenomenal conversation with Baba Ifa Karade, and I appreciate all the love and support, man. Thank y'all. Please like, share, subscribe. This is your host, Orisha Bemi. We out. Peace.
Peace.
Apple.
Whatever.